Marcus Licinius Crassus, the Elon Musk of ancient Rome. In this video I will be talking about the rise and the brutal downfall of this richest man in ancient Rome. So I'm a brand new channel without any audience, so that's why I will be talking to my cat Hannibal during this video. Let's hope he stays interested till the end. So Marcus Licinius Crassus. In this video I will first give some background info, then I'll talk about all the ways that he accumulated all of his wealth, and in the end I'll talk about the way that he died, which is quite a gruesome way. Crassus, he was born in 115 BC during the Roman Republican era. And to give you an idea about what time period this is, 115 BC, it is a time that both Julius Caesar and Cleopatra were alive. And Crassus, he was born into a normal family, a family of plebeians and not patricians. So this was not an aristocratic family that was already very rich. And the family of Crassus, the Licinia, they were actually, they had been in government offices for quite a while. So during earlier wars, the family had been fighting in these wars, they had been generals, and some of them even became consuls. And so the father of Crassus, he was one of those consuls, and he was, next to being a consul, he also governed the province of Hispania Ulterior. And Hispania Ulterior, that's basically the Costa del Sol of Spain today. And his father, Crassus, his father, he owned a lot of silver mines in this region as a governor, where a lot of slaves were working. And Crassus, he learned a lot of his father during that time because he stayed with him in Spain in those years, in his youth. At a certain point though, a civil war breaks out in Rome with on one side Sulla, and on the other side Marius with his supporters, the Marians. And also the region of Spain, where his father is governing, gets dragged into the civil war because the family of Crassus, they were supporters of Sulla. And so the supporters of Marius, called the Marians, they were attacking the family of Crassus. They gave his family a choice. They gave his father and his brothers a choice, which was either getting killed or committing suicide to preserve their honor. A very interesting choice. In both cases, all of his family die. So Crassus ends up being the last survivor of his family, and he inherits a lot of wealth from his father. What does he inherit? Well, on one side he inherits those silver mines where the slaves are working, and also some money. So this is the first way that Crassus was able to build up all of his wealth. Of course, the civil war is still going on. His family just gets killed. So Crassus, what does he do? He decides to join Sulla and become a general in his army to fight against the other side, Marius and the Marians. And after that point, the military campaigns from Crassus and Sulla, they were successful. And in the end, they were able to win this civil war against Marius and the Marians. So what happens next? Well, this new government in Rome, they decide to kill everyone who supports or who supported Marius before that point. And so all these Marians, they get killed and their property gets confiscated. And for Crassus, this was a great opportunity because all this confiscated property, it gets auctioned off by the government, and Crassus is able to swoop in and buy all this property with his wealth that he just inherited at very low prices. So he buys all of this property at low prices and then sells it again at much higher prices. This is the second way that Crassus was able to accumulate even more wealth. So during this period, Crassus, he becomes the largest property owner in Rome, so much so that he is able to actually set the prices of rent in the city of Rome. He owns a lot of property, but for him, this was not yet enough. He was not happy with the situation. And for the third way that he was able to get so much money, we have to look at the state of the city of Rome during this period. Rome, during this period, is a city, it's already a very big city, but most of the buildings are made out of wood and not out of stone. So there are a lot of fires, actually, and being the great businessman that Crassus is, he starts the very first fire brigade in history. And he does this not because he wants to help the people, but to get more money himself. Because he doesn't start a government fire agency, this is very much a private property of Crassus. So his fire brigade, whenever a fire pops up in Rome, he arrives there, his fire brigade arrives, and they do not put out the fire. So they watch the building burn, the owner of the property is also there, and they give the owner a choice. The choice is to either sell the property to Crassus or to let the property burn down completely. And so when the owner of the property refuses, they let the property burn down gradually more and more, while Crassus, he decreases the amount of money that he wants to pay for the property. So this puts the owner under pressure to sell the property to Crassus at quite low prices. So this is the third way, quite a sketchy way to accumulate all your money. And it's even debated that maybe Crassus, he himself started some of these fires just to be able to buy the property afterwards. So those were the three ways that he got rich, very rich, and become the richest man in all of Rome. But this was not enough for Crassus. We had the rise, now it's time for the downfall. And Crassus, he has been a military commander before, and at this point he has the idea to invade the east and attack the Parthians, a Persian empire on the border of the Roman territory, and invade their territories to get all their wealth and their gold. So what happens next is that he starts his military campaign, he expects this to be easy, and he invades the Parthian Empire. And the Parthians, they are a Persian empire that had gradually been growing alongside Rome, so they were starting to become rivals. They were both big empires, and conflict was inevitable, but it's Crassus that starts this first war against the Parthians. And he invades the Parthian territories and arrives at the Battle of Carrhae. And in this Battle of Carrhae, he fights against the Parthians, but unexpectedly, his legions lose. He loses the battle and he gets captured. The Parthians, they capture Crassus, and his legions are all defeated. The Parthians, they know about who this man is, they know about his reputation, so what do they do? Well, they find a very fitting punishment for this very greedy man, and it is to melt down all of the gold until it's liquid, and then pour this burning hot liquid gold down his throat. So Crassus dies by the thing that he loves the most, and that's money and gold. So he dies a gruesome death with the burning gold burning through all of his skin and his throat. And that's the way that Crassus finally dies. So, knowing what the way he accumulated his wealth was, do you think this death was deserved or not? Please let me know in the comments. Also, before I end this video, I want to make a couple of final thoughts about this man Crassus, because there's two things that people say about him. It's one, that his greed led to his death, and two, that the invasion of the Parthians was stupid from the beginning, that it was doomed to fail. But the first thing, greed led to his death. It was actually not that strange that a Roman general would invade another country to enrich himself. Most of the wars during this period in Roman history were actually started because of the generals themselves who wanted to enrich themselves. And then the second thing is that it was doomed to fail from the start. Well, they expected this to be easy, this fight against an Eastern Empire, because the former wars in this region against the kingdom of Pontus and against the Armenians, those had been very successful wars, and with relatively small armies, they had been able to conquer these regions. So they expected this to happen again against the Parthians. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you didn't fall asleep just like my cat. If you liked the video, please leave a like or subscribe. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Bye bye.